why is it that one student can get 90 to 100 marks, another gets 70? So they'll be curious, right?
Yeah.
And there are many students who have similar intelligence level, and yet some are doing better than others. The key difference is, to me, is effort, the quality of effort. One person will be more persistent in learning more. So for example, a good example would be when I do mathematics sums, I don't get it, I crush the paper and I start again. Whereas another one, I don't get it, just give up. So it's about behavior. So if you can help students understand that if you can change your behavior of one of persistence, then you will have achieved similar results. So the difference between those who do better than others is that one puts in more effort. So I think I feel more our students should do that. Don't be satisfied. So one of my terms in schools when I was a leader is never settle for less when you can achieve more.
Hi everyone, welcome to our episode on supporting underachievers through intentional well-being. So just a quick recap of who Forte is. So we are a very young non-profit organization that does upstream support work for well-being development and building strengths and self-worth in children. So this podcast is an initiative to really spotlight voices that can come together to shape our perspective about children's well-being in Singapore. So today it's my privilege to actually introduce someone that I met actually some time back and I find he's a person with rich wisdom and experience as well when it comes to working with children. So it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Manogaran, who was formerly from the education space as well. He was a class superintendent, principal for a primary school, JC, and formerly the CEO of Sinda as well. So hi, Mr. Manogaran.
Hello, hi, good afternoon.
Hello, thank you so much for being part of this
My
podcast.
pleasure, my pleasure.
So maybe in your own words, introduce yourself and what motivated you to join this podcast.
Okay, I've had years of experience in education, almost 43 years before I retired at the end of 2022. So in those period, I served as principal of a JC, a primary school. I was out at Sinda for a while, seconded from ministry. I served as the classes superintendent, and then I was also the founding director of Academy of Singapore Teachers. That's the one that trains in-service teachers. So it's been, of course, I taught for a few years, both English and history. And so that sums up my experience. Plus my work in the community. I volunteer in a few boards. And so that has also given me a good understanding of what's happening on the ground as well.
Of course, yeah. So I think it's, like what I mentioned, it's my pleasure to really speak to you. And I think your voice will really also help to shape certain perspectives as well when it comes to children's well-being. So maybe let's talk about like the way our nation has progressed when it comes to addressing children's well-being. I think we both agree it has really progressed a lot. So especially when it comes to school, maybe you can share with us how it has evolved in a school setting in terms of addressing children's well-being.
I think I'll give you a practitioner's perspective. Now, I started teaching in Singapore in 1979. So that's more than 45 years ago. And you can imagine the situation in Singapore. Singapore then was still emerging from its independence in 65. We were still relatively poor. So resourcing had to be prioritized. So education is one priority area. So the key goal was to educate as many people as possible. So there were many schools being built. So largely mainstream. So this was the key objective for the government because you needed people for the industries, for employment and so forth. But if you look back from now we are in 2025, over the last, I would say 44 decades or 5 decades, there has been tremendous improvement. I mean, data shows, right? We are one of the leading education hubs in the world. Our system has been recognized all over the world. We have a lot of visitors coming here to find out how we made it in that short period of time. And in terms of teacher quality, curriculum quality, assessment quality, everything has gone up. So I think that was one remarkable shift. And I think it has to do with the government's focus on people. And I think they acknowledge that you need to grow. And because this is a cliche term, human resource is the only resource we have. We have no gold or silver or anything. So the only way is to, invest in our people. So education was a key. So from preschool, primary school all the way to university.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we have grown. And I think seeing young people like you who have emerged from the system, so independent, entrepreneurial. So these are all some results of our education system. So I think that's how we have progressed.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it also, when we were chatting about it, we even shared that, previously there was no SEN officers. Then now we have introduced SEN officers. Then the number of counselors are increasing. So I think the resourcing part, I definitely it's visible. It's increasing as well. Right. So I think I also would like to hear from your perspective, right? With schools being academically driven by nature, so how do you feel school leaders can understand or approach well-being better? Kind of treat it like it's equal as academic success.
Okay, somehow the academics is now seen as a dirty word. I think we got to be careful because the students who do well academically, generally they have a sense of discipline. So I think we need to acknowledge that there is work that goes behind academic success. Those of us who have succeeded academically, and the thousands and millions who have succeeded, is because they have put in effort and they took their work seriously. And because they have able to achieve success in that area, it gave them a sense of confidence, pride, and so forth. But over time, with more research in children or understanding of human beings and so forth, what it means to be successful, that definition has shifted. In fact, it has been broadened. So today, we look at what is called holistic education. But holistic education includes academic success. Because I think you look at what is required in the universities for any career, there must be that discipline. If not, you wouldn't want half-baked engineers, right? Or doctors for that. So there is that discipline. I think we should honor that and continue to do that. In terms of the holistic aspect, so that greater recognition, I think awareness have grown because as Singapore grew, our education system, our officers got trained overseas. Many went to the US, UK, Australia, came back with PhDs and a master's degree in whole brain development to social emotional learning. So awareness began to grow. A lot more literature. You go to some of these countries like the US and UK, huge research done in human development students. And so I think we are influenced by that. You can't ignore research and because it comes to data. And I think our population, our parents are also getting more educated. So they are more aware of what's happening. They read a lot. So there's a lot more lobbying for students to be given more support. And so because of the awareness, you find the government also acknowledges this. So hence you see the Ministry of Education, as you mentioned just now, as special needs officers, all these are part of a larger goal of providing a more holistic and balanced education, not just in the classroom, but even co-curricular activities. One of the biggest budget item in our schools is CCA. We spend a lot of money. Where does the money go? It's paying for trained coaches, instructors, whether it's football, basketball, and these are trained professionals. So they provide our students with a lot more support, professional support. So you have students who have no music background, and yet they can graduate school learning how to play the clarinet, the drums, and that's expensive. Music is expensive. Yet we have invested in them. So that is also holistic development. So the kids, for some of them, that kind of triggers interest in certain fields, whether it's the sports field or fine arts, so forth. So that's something we intentionally grew. And then, of course, in the classroom, I mentioned social emotional. So I guess we now are more aware of special needs. So you have more students who are in our with special needs in our mainstream. Students with autism, Asperger's syndrome, ADHD. And so for a while, our teachers were wondering, what's happening? Who are these kids, right? Because they were not trained. But now our teachers are trained. They're trained in basic counseling. They are trained to identify symptoms, to identify students with special needs. So while they may not be able to intervene, that's when the special needs officers are there. And if the special needs officers are overwhelmed themselves, they have psychologists from the ministry who come in to support the schools. So every school, there is a psychologist attached from the Ministry of Education, some via zones. So I think in that aspect, our students are well supported. Yeah, of course, we can always say, can we have more? Yes, but these are
We need
expensive
I need
resource,
acknowledge,
and
yeah.
you need to also invest in people. You know, people need to be trained.
Of course.
So that explains sometimes some people feel not enough is being done. But I think if you look at
How we're
time
progressing,
horizons, you
yeah.
know, from the time we were independent and today, our schools are very well resourced. So you mentioned counselor
Yes.
to support students with all kinds of challenges. Then you have special needs officers. And then in the school, you also have teacher aides. We got allied educators.
Yeah.
So these are things which were not there 20 years ago.
Yes. Right. So maybe you can share with me, is there some examples of your own experience, being in the school, where focusing on children's well-being actually helped to improve academic performance in students?
Okay. I think generally one of our main role in the school is as a school leader is to create the right conditions. So I think like plants and fish, for example, if the environment is good, they thrive.
Yeah.
So similarly for a school, which is in a way a controlled environment, we are, fixed hours. So the more, I would say, enabling the environment is in terms of the the space, in terms of nurturing quality, the likelihood of kids growing better. So when I was in Temasek Primary School, one of when I first started as a principal, there's a program called Learning Support Program. It's still going on, and these are students. This is a program for students who are reluctant readers, who are poor. They are unable to read at primary 1, primary 2. They still can't read very well. So it's a pull-out program. So one of the things we did, we had some support from the school advisory committee. We converted a room, one of the rooms, which was just they tend to use a classroom for the pull-out program. But I thought this is something we need to do, invest a little bit more, some money to turn the room into a very beautiful room, which was called the Sunshine Room.
Nice.
It was with specially curated. There was an designer who came, and you have soft toys, a little bit of stage, and the whole room is very colorful. And I got the teacher in charge to design it to something that's a room that people want to come to.
Yeah.
And there's a little library, little corner. So it was quite a big room, and that was what was done. And many students enjoyed coming to the room,
Nice.
and that's where the reading practice took place. What was good was even those kids were not in the program, because they saw the room was so beautiful, they too wanted to come in.
Nice.
So I think that's something with resources we can do. So I think that led to more students enjoying reading, and some of them graduated from the learning support and went back to the mainstream.
Nice. Nice.
So that was an example.
Yeah. I think that's also part of holistic well-being, right?
Yes.
Like it's part environment itself plays
Yes.
a part. And then you also have a own interest on plants.
Yes.
Maybe you can share your story. Why do you love plants? Yeah. And how is it connected to children's well-being? Because we shared previously.
Okay. I think plants, because I grew up in the midst of plants. My father loved plants. So I as a young boy, I used to help him grow the plants, look for the manure, plant, different kind of plants. So without getting expert knowledge, you'll have practitioner knowledge, the soil type, how much to water, and all that, potting, repotting, how to divide plants and so forth. So I think in my current home, I have space. So naturally, I went back to gardening. So gardening is therapeutic.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of lessons we can learn from plants and education.
Yes.
For example, diversity. Different plants have different needs. So for example, I have a mango tree and a pomelo tree in my backyard.
Okay.
The mango tree doesn't require much water. Whereas the pomelo tree requires, its roots needs to be moist all the time.
Okay.
And they are just about 5 meters away.
So
can you imagine kids who are different? Their needs are different. Some kids are more cognitive. They can understand instructions easily. Some people can't understand abstract. They need manipulative. You need to draw. Some are visual learners. So you need to understand your students better. And you can pick all these from plants. So some plants need more water, some less water. Like orchids, they are classified as epiphytes. They grow on trees.
Okay.
So in natural setting, the rain comes, it is the tree trunk, it just flows through, right? So it doesn't rot. So if you have orchids at home, you just pour water, and it shouldn't be in a pot where the roots will rot. So that's an example of one plant that doesn't require watering and overwatering. So similarly, plants which are in a pot, because they're in a fixed environment, you got to make sure you don't overwater. The biggest mistake, we tend to overwater. So those plants are on the ground, it's okay. The water will just seep into the ground. So these are things you learn. So you apply to education. Every student is different,
right?
And I think you need more knowledge. So just as much as I do research on the plants, we need to do research on our students, and more knowledge about things like students with special needs, students who, for example, I realized that silent reading is more powerful. When those days, remember your teachers say do silent reading. And reading aloud was, when I was in school, teachers asked us to stand up and do reading aloud. But silent reading is more impactful than reading aloud. But both has its place. If I'm a teacher, I'll know whether you can read, I'll ask you to stand and read. But if I engage you in silent reading, in fact, there's more going on in your brain when you're reading silently, of course, with some concentration. So there's value in doing these activities with more knowledge. So you need to continue to read.
Definitely.
And so you can apply this in your school as much as in your garden.
Nice. I love that analogy, and I love the story of like how different students have different needs as well. And then earlier when we were talking about in a separate conversation, you said we don't force trees to grow in
True.
like in our way. They are going in their pace.
Right.
I think that's such a powerful statement that you said. So I'm just curious to also know your personal definition of what's children's well-being. Your definition.
Okay. I think, you speak to 10 people, they give you different definitions. But I think essentially, are they happy in what they're doing, mentally, physically? Today, we are more aware. There's such a thing called emotional regulation, mental well-being. I think when I started out as a teacher, I didn't know enough of this. You have a good idea, but today we are more aware because you're seeing all kinds of cases out there. And there's a greater appreciation that it is not a boy or girl who is misbehaving. It's a medical condition for some of them. So that, I think, helps us to understand. So overall well-being, if a child is happy and able to engage in conversation comfortably, then I think it's happy. But if they are quiet, tend to be on your own, you can sense something is not right.
Okay. Which part do you feel more focus needs to be done when it comes to developing well-being in children in a school setting?
That's not an easy answer, because not easy to answer that, because in a school setting, when schools were created, originally it was a factory model. The whole idea of a school came because in the factories in the 19th century, they had conveyor belt. They were doing things in a certain churning out things, and the workers just were skilled in maybe you're tightening a nut here or a bolt there, and that's how. So this whole idea of factory models, how schools were built, so that we knock out. So you find the way the schools, classroom after classroom, all look the same. The whole idea is that they come out with some kind of knowledge based on an exam, and they feed into the industry. That was the model. So the focus was academic success only. So that was the original purpose. But today, school, as you know, is a socialization space. You don't go to school just to study now. It's your friends. Who goes to school to see the teacher? They go to school because they want to meet their friends, talk about the latest movie or latest game they are in, or what's the latest trend. They talk about that. So socialization is important. So I think for well-being today, more effort, I guess, could be invested in allowing students to have more playtime. So the school can now be seen as a big sandbox. You can experiment things safely, like going for camping in the school, overnight in the school camp. Those days, sometimes of us stay in school. The classrooms becomes a bedroom, of course, with teacher supervision. So these are things we can do more, and you grow the other as domains. How to make friends, building relationships. There are kids who come from single parents, or either single parents, or they're the only child, so they haven't had
a chance to
opportunity to interact. So they're very awkward people around these days who can't even speak because there's so much on their. So I think these are things you can do more, because I think these are opportunities schools can do more to help these people.
So previously you were sharing about like, you would prefer if children just shift their mindset from just learning just for exams, but rather rediscover the love of learning. Maybe can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think a good analogy would be what the things that we enjoy doing outside of school. Right, today our kids enjoy gaming. Some of them may have hobbies, whether it's photography. Nobody asks them to pursue this. But what is it that drives them to learn these new things? So this must be some motivation, and there must be some interest. So interest then leads to some, because there's some interest, and they naturally will find out, either with friends, or they go on Google, or they go on YouTube and they learn, right? There's so many things we are learning on our own, cooking and so forth. So there's motivation. So an underlying learning is really motivation. So whether it's mathematics, which could be a dry topic for some people, they can't get it, right? They say, I don't get it. But I mean, for teachers, the key is to how do you unlock that interest in students. So I guess go back to motivation, and you start with small blocks of success. Help them succeed. The reason people enjoy games is because it starts at level 1, right? Then they go on level 2, level 3, then they keep going because the designers of the game were very smart. They make it easy for entry. Then you get excited. Then it gets actually, the designers have planned for it to get more and more difficult as you go higher up. Similarly, our education's also like that, designed. But for some people, that starting point may already be too high the bar. So abstract thinking may not be their cup of tea. But if you give them opportunity to enjoy success, so like giving them tests, simpler tests rather than very out to kill them. So if your goal is that I want them to enjoy learning, I think that will happen. So if you were to look at students who do well, we tend to look at those who don't do well, we think, oh, it's tough. But what about those students who are doing well? What is it that's going right for them? Is it also neat? But I think two things are happening. Either they have learned to enjoy mathematics, science, or any of the academic subjects, and they've enjoyed success, and they keep going back, and they get stronger and stronger. So this whole idea of motivation is it's a foundation for learning. So I think for educators, the key is to how do you help kids find that love. So if I'm a history teacher, I teach history, I tell a lot of stories. So I think they enjoy, because you don't just ask them to memorize this passage or this section. You go into the stories of World War II, incidents that happen. I think that intrigues them. Oh, there's such things happen during the war. So if you have read some literature, even movies, you watch clips, show clips of World War II, how Pearl Harbor was attacked, and then you talk about World War II and how US got into the war. I think they'll sit up. So they realize history is actually, somebody wrote that story. It was a story, but it's crafted literature, as they say. So that way, I think they'll be more interested.
Okay, that's interesting, and I think that's also something that we, as also like for Forte's, and we can also try to see how to increase motivation as well. Because I think different children, like the motivation levels are different, right? So like, how can we address that? I think that's very powerful. Thanks for sharing that. I think one thing I've learned from you is this term, or like out of our conversation, is the term underachievers, right? And I find like that topic very interesting when you were explaining it to me. But maybe you can share a little bit for our viewers, like what exactly it is, and why do you feel many students are still underachievers today?
Okay, I think psychologically there's a term called underachievement. And similarly, there are overachievers. So overachievers are normally people who do very well, right? Your top 10% or your 5% who seem to score perfect score all the time. So they are considered overachievers. But I think the bulk of people are underachievers. When I say underachievers, doesn't mean they're failures. It simply means they have not reached their potential. So they could be scoring 80 to 90 marks, but they could be at 60 to 70 now. And they think, oh, I have passed, I'm fine. But actually, they have that much potential. They are here. So I guess the key is that how do you encourage students, or even adults, that you can progress further? So I think when I mention underachievement, what I'm trying to say is that we need to not be satisfied with students' current achievements. encourage them to go further. So if somebody gets 65 in mathematics, encourage them. Look, actually you have the ability to go further. So a good example would be if you have two students who are intelligence-wise are the same. Why is it that one student can get 90 to 100 marks, another gets 70? So they'll be curious, right?
Yeah.
And there are many students who have similar intelligence level, and yet some are doing better than others. The key difference is, to me, is effort, the quality of effort. One person will be more persistent in learning more. So for example, a good example would be when I do mathematics sums, I don't get it, I crush the paper and I start again. Whereas another one, I don't get it, just give up. So it's about behavior. So if you can help students understand that if you can change your behavior of one of persistence, then you will have achieved similar results. So the difference between those who do better than others is that one puts in more effort. So I think I feel more our students should do that. Don't be satisfied. So one of my terms in schools when I was a leader is never settle for less when you can achieve more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you feel like what can we do to actually help them? You know, when students are like being underachievers, right? What can we do, like not only schools but rather the people working with children, whether parents, social workers, or like just the community, to kind of maybe notice their strengths or like encourage them further? What can we do further?
I think the key word is encouragement. Affirming them. Keep affirming them, and maybe negotiate some little goals. So you got 60 this time. Why don't you aim for 70? Not 100, but 70. Then you can do simple rewards. You know, go for a simple meal, McDonald's meals. These are things parents can do. It's within reach. But I think you'll be surprised how students yearn for affirmation from parents and teachers. So teachers can put stars, well done. I tell you, it means a lot to them. But just a simple, you've done very well. I notice you are progressing.
Nice.
I can tell you return the book or a foolscap paper with their work, and you from a distance you watch them. They'll smile. Oh, teacher wrote this.
Nice. Yeah, I think when I was a child also, I always look
it
forward
makes
to
a
that.
difference. Yeah, it makes it. So I think a lot of our teachers are doing that. Some of the teachers have a box full of stickers, and they'll stick. Yeah, so these are things they can do, and we got to reward progress. So from like 40, he used to fail at 35, he's moved to 50. Reward the progress. So the guy will begin to realize that there is some, I'm making some progress, and he will feel, he'll be happy that someone has noticed it. And it's not just about perfect scores. Anyway, who is perfect? You don't need to be perfect, get perfect scores to succeed in the world. I think we as adults know that, and we should impress on them. But keep progressing. That's the message.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think that's very powerful because, like, you know, sometimes when we, even for Forte's work, when we encourage children for their progress, right, they also feel very encouraged, but not just encouraging them for the end result. Yeah, so that's very important as well. So like I think in our conversations you also have shared, right, like we need to be very intentional when we come to like introducing well-being or skills to children, not like just have assumption that they know. Yeah, so maybe you can share a little bit about that and any stories that you have experienced that intentional well-being.
Okay. When I was teaching English in secondary school many years ago, you know, at O level, you need to summarize a passage to 150 in 100 words, and there's normally a question, and summarize in 100 words. Now, it's a demanding skill. We may not have realized that a student who doesn't come from an English-speaking environment, to summarize a passage of 300 words to 100 words, and then to answer to a question is demanding. So that's the thing. Number two, usually at the O level, there are about 15 points you must pick out.
Okay.
So I noticed students were struggling. Firstly, how to keep to 100 words. And it's under exam duress. You got to do it within 40 minutes.
Yeah, the stress.
You're lucky, if you're lucky, you're 40. Sometimes you only have half an hour, right? Because that's all the time you have, because you have to do comprehension. Summary is the last one. So I think one of the things I helped them was, I helped them draw a grid. I said, draw a grid with 100 squares on the exam paper. And then each square is one word. So that way they know by the time they hit the last one, it's already 100. So that keeps tab on the number of words. So that's one one rail handle to hold. Then I guided them in identifying the points. So you tell them beforehand, hey, look, there are 15 points. In fact, in that passage, there are 20 points. You only need to pick up 15. So that skill of identifying, oh, this is one point, is itself an intentional thing. They need to identify. So this is done in class practice. You get them. So that grid is a rail handle. If not, they will exceed, and Cambridge markers, they will delete. Once it exceed 100, they won't mark anymore. So you only get marks for the first 100 words. Now these are skills that you can teach them so that they become more, they can use that in the exam. So other things like another executive function will be time management. All right. So at home, how do you manage? So at weekends, so coming up with a timetable, some people, I'll do it. They'll just talk about it. But if you really say, I'll get up, even if I get up at 10 or 11 o'clock on a Saturday, I still have a good 6 hours to do some work. So I work in blocks of 2 hours.
Nice.
So 2 hours, say from after lunch, 2 to 4, I do this. And I take a break, go and play my game. Then maybe 5 to 7, I do another. So you have clocked in 4 hours of work. And the more conscientious can go up to 6 hours. You just have these 2 hour blocks or 1.5 hour blocks, whatever convenient for you. The key is discipline. So you delay gratification. Okay, after 1 hour or 2 hours, I'm then going to play my games or go and check out on my WhatsApp, whatever. So these are things we need to teach them because you look at the kids who do well, somebody has taught them that. Either they have parents who taught them. So as educators, we need to help them this, because one of the big goals of education is to build a social capital of students who don't come from homes which are where parents are able to give them. So the better resourced homes, the parents take them overseas, they see the world, they have a passport. The kids who come from the other side of the spectrum, they may not even have a passport, have not traveled. So these are people we have the obligation to guide them, give them those skill sets. That's what I mean by being intentional. Teach them everything as though their parents have not taught them. Because when you ask them, they don't know. Whereas the other kid seems to know. So I think this disparity is where the school comes in to, level the playing field.
Do you feel like, when we are more intentional when we introduce such skills, right? It can actually help the underachievers to maybe reach their full potential?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I think then they realize there's no secret to success. The so-called secret is actually hard work. Then I can do it. And I think we need to give more kids that joy of experiencing success.
And that encouragement, like you shared earlier, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So in your experience, right, what do you feel is like the next step that schools would need to take to kind of like address well-being more in their culture? Because we know like schools are really doing a lot, but what's the next step? When we come to maybe let's achieve optimal well-being in a school setting.
I think one big area we can do, and I think we have started, is to collaborate more with families and parents. I think open the school, bring more parents into the school where there's opportunity, create time for parents to interact with teachers more, not away from the typical meet the parent session with with exam after the exam. That's important.
Stressful.
But I think but I guess we could go into a more a light-hearted way. Could be an open house. You can have opportunity for kids to come and watch an English lesson at work. Parents come and watch your lesson in the class, and then teachers share with the parent what are they doing. Could be a show and tell session. Parents are sitting at the back to watch. So I think this kind of opportunity is where we can invest more time, because to me this is investment. It's not wasting time. It's actually building the capacity of parents. And very often you notice many parents do not know what's happening in the school. So, but if they get to see the professionalism of teachers, how the curriculum is designed, share with them why you sequence certain projects in certain ways, or this topic comes first and that topic's next. I think the relationship with the school is better, more positive. Then the student also feels good. My mother or father has come and seen. So these are things we can do more, I think, to overall well-being, because I think the time is limited. So you create time.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for sharing about that, right? So now I'm also quite curious to know, like, how does staff well-being, so educators' well-being, play a role to promoting children's well-being? Because we know that educators are really doing their level best when it comes to addressing children's well-being. So I just wanted to hear from you about that. Yeah.
I think our school leaders are all fully aware staff well-being is so important. There's a lot going on for them. So every school has something called the staff well-being committee or staff welfare committee, and the goal of that committee is to help ensure parents, teachers are happy, from hygiene issues like having a good pantry to events. They go for hikes. They even have lunches sometimes for Teachers' Day or dinner. Some even go for short trips outside of Singapore. So these things are done. But more importantly, other than that, the key is the teachers' workload is important. So this is something the school leaders are very intentional about. So there's a framework where teachers' workload are looked into, and the work is deployed, the teachers are deployed accordingly, so that there is a figure they work with, so nobody's overloaded. So that's one thing. But they also look at teachers who have special considerations. So teachers may have issues. For example, some teachers may have parents who are elderly and they need to be home by 4 p.m. So some schools will make arrangement that they can leave. So their CCAs are, some even take them out of CCA so that they can be home by 4 p.m. The reason is because some of them, the parents goes to a nursing home, and the ambulance or the medical transport will bring the parent home at 4 p.m. And
they have to be there.
They have to be there to help the kids. So help the parents. So these are things we look into, some schools arrange for. So this is done. And I think there is the whole philosophy is that a happy teacher will help develop happy students, right? So I think that is something, not just the school, the whole of MOE looks into this very seriously. So that's why you have so many schemes now. Like, for example, this family-friendly policies, maternity leave, all these are given a lot of support. Teachers can take part-time load. Teachers can take they call it the FAJT scheme, the flexible adjunct scheme. So they have different schemes for teachers to base on their needs. Some in their family way, they started a family, they can't do a full load. So these are all part of overall well-being. And not forgetting that every 2 years, MOE conducts a survey to understand teachers' sentiment. Nice. So that survey gives you feedback to the leaders. What can be done better, whether it's communication, whether it's welfare. So all these feedback with the principals are aware, and they make sure they take this feedback to help improve. So well-being is given high priority because we know that is critical to student well-being.
Yes, that's good. That's good. So, like, in your opinion, do you feel like partnerships, like with PSG, Parent Support Group, or like other community partners, or like even the after-school care student care center can work together to actually help, or rather work hand in hand with educators to address students' well-being?
I think it has been acknowledged. That's why many schools today, even JCs, have parent support groups. And I think it's acknowledged, like I mentioned just now, that you need parents to partner. When you see, when you use the word partner, it simply means there's some things you can do which I can't do. So that's how you partner. So it's not just parents. I think increasingly some schools are working with the family service centers. Some partner with some agencies, like the Down Syndrome Association, so that the students can come into the school. They bring some of these kids with special needs, and for some children in the mainstream school to get to know students with special needs, and they have collaboration like that. So some schools collaborate with a welfare organization to help them raise funds. So these are things done they appreciate that you need to partner. So this concept of being a school and just doing your own thing is long gone. So I think that's something we value. The challenge is finding the time, but more and more schools are beginning to realize that again, it's about the investment in this, because the returns are much better. For example, parents, you invest time with them, even if there are issues with the school, they are likely to see you kindly. They're willing to listen to you, rather than if I don't know who you are, I don't have access to the principal. then you find people
Very
shooting
harsh.
things on social media and all that. So that
Yep.
becomes very unhealthy.
Okay, thanks for sharing about that.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm also just curious to know about like your perspective about the school-based student care centers, right?
Mm.
So like, initially we actually started school-based student care center to really help to take care of like the basic needs, especially children who maybe of higher needs, those who are from under-resourced community, to be physically safe in a school setting. In your point of view, right, how can these student care center be integrated well into the school system to approach well-being more optimally for the students?
I think it's a work in progress. I think it's good they are citing the student care centers within the school compound. So that's a good start. Where we could develop more is a more integrated program. So, for example, many of them, instead of going home, they are spending time at least 2 to 3 hours in the student care center. So, if they can finish their homework, continue, so the collaboration with the school is something we can work further. Either the school teachers or the year head or the dean, so that these children, many of whom, some of them may have discipline issues, some may have issues with concentration in school. So tie up with the student care center, the whoever the vendor is, and to ensure there's alignment in terms of what you can do from student well-being plus even work, finishing their homework, for example, disciplining them, so that we can do more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that we also agree as well, right? With our work in the student care space. So I just want to also learn from you, right? Like, now like in academics wise, we can measure the grades. Yeah, but when it comes to well-being, it's very hard to measure. Yeah. So in your opinion, like how do you feel we can measure or track if the school is like, have a progressive, like positive school culture? Is there like a way to kind of measure or track that? Just curious.
There is, I think, there are surveys done in schools. There's a survey called Quality of School Experience. So these surveys are done with schools to help find out from students how they what they think about the school, their environment, their education. So that's one. But I think you can measure with other proxies. It's easy you can do a simple, even smileys, are you happy today?
Yes.
Do a simple, I think it helps. And I think increasingly more schools are also doing surveys by subject. They do surveys, and you have how are you in mathematics, and the students will give you different ratings. So that gives you a sense of which subjects the students seem to have more fun, and including CCAs. So I think from there you can sense overall the students' happiness with the school, the satisfaction with the school.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
it can be done, but it will not be as concrete. Academic, we can have pass fail and
Okay. Yeah, because I think that also helps us to keep track as well, right? How we are progressing in
Another
terms of
indicator we have is attendance records. So, for example, if your CCAs, if students tend to have 100% attendance, they enjoy that.
Nice.
Because it's after school, right? Usually. That these are things we can track.
Kind of track, right? Okay.
Another thing, as a school leader, I used to just walk around during CCAs. You can see them enjoying football, frisbee. They're having fun.
Yeah.
So this, you don't
just
need
a visual kind of like, don't need like a mix of it.
And you do dipsticking. You just talk to them, and you find that they enjoy going for competitions. So I think if you want to, it can be measured.
Okay. Yes. So I think this is my last question to you, right? So if there's just one change that you feel that you could see in the Singapore's education landscape when it comes to children's well-being, what would that be? And what gives you hope that this change will happen?
I think one area which I think we are investing a lot more will be special needs, students with special needs. And I think another area is character and citizenship education. We're investing more in like mental wellness, cyber wellness. All these are areas we can do a lot more. So I think we have done very well academically. So I don't think we're going to shortchange the students if we expand a little bit more in these other domains. Is the direction we are going in. So increasingly, you're seeing kids with not just kids with special needs, even what we call normal kids. The emotional aspect of
Yes,
social well-being is something we are investing more time in, helping them find themselves, their purpose, their identity. We didn't tend to spend so much time on those things, but we are spending more time helping them understand who they are. So this is where we can do more, because I think once they know who they are, I think purpose is a very big word. We, even some adults, don't know what their purpose is. But if they can find meaning in coming to school and enjoying I think we could have just unlocked that potential I talked about. People can achieve greater. So more attention in this area. But we need more skilled staff to do that. So, and investing in our teachers as well in this area.
Okay, thank you so much for today. I think I've learned a lot, and I think it also gives a very fresh and affirming perspective, for our viewers as well when it comes to children's well-being. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yay!